is based on a true story, the greatest story ever told.
Grammy Award-winning singer-songwriter Rory Feek is an open book, sharing some of the most intimate chapters of his life with RFD-TV viewers. From the heartache of losing his true love and musical partner Joey, to the challenges and triumphs of bringing up their young daughter Indy as a single dad on their Tennessee farm. His story inspires others to live to the fullest, regardless of life's circumstances. And a new chapter is unfolding in the life of Rory Feek as he unveils his latest on-screen endeavor, One Room Schoolhouse.
Good evening and welcome to Rural America Live. I'm Christina Loren. Tonight, a rare opportunity to spend an hour with an RFD-TV favorite. And you are a big part of this show. In just a little bit, we're going to open up our phone lines and give you a chance to speak directly to the man who's known for his warm smile and staple Carhartt overalls. Let's welcome Rory Feek, joining us tonight from his farm in Columbia, Tennessee, coming to us live from the One Room Schoolhouse. Thanks for being here. Really excited to have you. We know our viewers are really looking forward to a chance to talk to you tonight. You have an extensive history on RFD-TV. Our audience probably knows you from the Joey and Rory show. But for those who may be unfamiliar, tell us about Joey, how the two of you came together, and what that production looked like.
Well, I met my wife, actually she met me at a songwriter's night years and years ago. She was in the room and I was singing songs, and she told me I was the one she was going to spend the rest of her life with. And she was right. That's the quick version. She changed my life in every single way, and even though she's been gone 4.5 years, it still feels like she's present and still a very big part of it.
What a beauty. Just everything about her, just her love of God up until the last minute. She was just such a beautiful soul. Yesterday was Joey's birthday. How do you think she would feel about your new show, One Room Schoolhouse, as we unveil it to our audience tonight?
I think she would feel really good about everything that's going on. It's not just the schoolhouse show, but it's the schoolhouse itself and all the things that are going on the farm. My wife was kind of a homesteader at heart, even though she was a singer and a great communicator of music and other things. She would love that it's not just a schoolhouse we have here, but it's a fully working farm, all integrated, and not just our little girl learning, but lots of other children, and I think she would be tickled.
It was important for her to have Indiana homeschooled. Why did she want that for Indy?
I think she wanted the best for Indy, and I think she looked around at the way the world has kind of continued to turn. And even from when she was a little girl going to school back in Alexandria, Indiana, the world's a lot different place. And she just felt like probably the best option would be for her to do the schooling at home. A lot of friends of ours do that. So from the very beginning, that's kind of what her plan was. And so when she didn't get the opportunity to do that, I kind of had to come up with another plan.
You stepped in, and what you've done is beautiful. Let's learn more about the One Room Schoolhouse.
What if school could be different? Instead of classrooms spread out all over a big building, there was really only one, where the kids could learn about real life in a setting that is alive and growing, just like they are. Whoa! And what if the classroom was full of not only children of all ages and abilities, but teachers too, where instead of only learning from certified educators, the kids could learn from farmers and fiddlers, soldiers and signers, from faraway faces to nearby neighbors, and also from other children who have something valuable to offer. And what if instead of teaching our children to value education, we educate our children about values in a place where everyone is a student and everyone is a teacher? Starting September 14th, we're leaving one chair and desk in the classroom empty for all the millions of kids who can't go to school right now, and broadcasting live for an hour every morning. Bringing school home to any and every child who has access to the internet or cable television. This is the One Room Schoolhouse the whole world can fit in.
We are so excited to have this brand new show, your latest endeavor, right here on RFD-TV. Tell us about your vision for the students in the classroom, and for those of you who will be joining online for these unique lessons and experiences, because you're going to get people from all over the world potentially joining you.
Well, the idea, when we originally built our schoolhouse, I guess it's been about 3 years since we built it. The original concept of the school came from, as I mentioned, Joey wanted to homeschool Indy, and I had to come up with another plan. And I had the idea of building a one-room schoolhouse here at home, and unbelievably, when we went to try and make that happen, when Joey passed away, there were so many people that sent cards and letters of condolence, and in those cards and letters, a lot of times they were like $5 and $10 and $20 bills and checks, and it all added up to a lot of money. As a matter of fact, it was the exact amount of money it took to build this one-room schoolhouse building. And so we built this, I guess, about 3 years ago. And the idea when that happened, I needed a place. It wasn't going to be homeschooling Indy, but it was going to be a school at home. So it was still a different version of homeschooling Indiana. And once we started building it, we realized, it's too wonderful and too special just for Indy. So we wanted to open it up to other children, like a normal one-room schoolhouse would have been 100, 150 years ago. So that became 10, 12, 15 kids. And then that's been going on, like I said, for the last 2 years. This is the 3rd year that it's been going. And this year, there's just been a really special need, and that is that so many children are at home and they can't go to school. And because I'm a storyteller and I'm surrounded by all these great, talented camera and audio and storytelling guys also, we just realized, this is an opportunity to leave an empty desk here in the classroom and have 17 children in the classroom and an empty chair and desk for the 18th little desk here, and share an hour of our school every day with people from all around the country and really all over the world. And so it's been something that's so neat because it's just an extension. Instead of just trying to let it be something for Indy, it's for our community. Instead of just letting it be for our community, it could be for a much, much larger community. And that's a really exciting thing for all of us.
Absolutely, and that's something that you and Indy continue to do, is inspire others to do good. Now, One Room Schoolhouse, it airs Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. on Facebook Live, but what's new is we're going to carry the lesson from each day right here on RFD-TV at 1 p.m. Central Time. Now, Rory, why did you decide to feature the One Room Schoolhouse on Facebook Live, and how would you like the audience to engage with you?
Well, you'll meet the teachers, so it's not so much engaging with me as it is really letting the school and the teachers, the guest teachers and the teacher be able to engage with people and children and parents at home. So Facebook Live, I've just kind of come to realize, although I'm not a very good Facebooker, I don't know very much about it, but I do know that when we share things, a lot of people get a chance to see it on RFD, but also on Facebook and YouTube. And so we decided when we were going to make this series available for everyone that we would take it to Facebook Live. So every morning at 9 a.m., a little intro will start like a normal television show, and then it'll go live inside of the schoolhouse. And it's not just like coming in and meeting the kids as they're doing reading and writing and arithmetic and stuff like that. It's different than that. We kind of believe that everyone is a teacher, everyone. And so it's an opportunity for us to showcase a different kind of education. And that's a lot of different folks. I mean, it can be farmers or cowboys or soldiers or all those kind of things that I'm talking about. And so every single day is programmed for an hour to showcase an unusual kind of education opportunity for all the kids at home.
Well, we look forward to meeting one of the teachers from the One Room Schoolhouse. That's going to happen in just a little bit. Plus, we'll be taking your calls. But before we open up our phones, I want to remind our viewers that about a year ago, you came on board as RFD-TV's Chief Creative Officer. What led you to that decision? We sure are happy to have you, but what brought you here?
Well, for some reason, for a long, long time, I have been thinking about that. My wife Joey and I had our show, the Joey+Rory show, on the network in 2012 and 13 and through the middle of 2014. And after that, I always found myself thinking, I wish I could help other stories be told besides just our own. And so last year, when I got the opportunity to sit down with Patrick, who owns RFD-TV, and talk about it, he gave me the opportunity to come on board and really help them bring some more shows and some more, not just entertainment, but some different kind of storytelling into the network. And I've been thinking about it for a long time, so it was kind of a surprise, but in another way, it was more like God had kind of been working for that opportunity to come here, and I just was tickled.
You talk about God, divine appointments. I love how previously you just mentioned that the exact amount of money that you needed to build the schoolhouse, where you're going to be doing the new broadcast on RFD-TV, the exact amount of money is the amount that was donated to you. So, and what I also love is that
it's true.
Whereas we see God's being taken out of the classroom in so many cases, you're putting God right back in the center of the classroom. Why is that important to you?
Well, it's important to me. It's important to a lot of people. I mean, there are some people that maybe that's not a thing for them. But that's an unusual thing, because we have a schoolhouse at a farm in a community, and we're surrounded by lots of people who have very similar views. So we have a flag, and we have the opportunity for our children to say the Pledge of Allegiance every morning. And we say a prayer every single day. And so you might not be able to do that in most schools and in a lot of places around the country, but we get to do it in our school. And if we get to do it on Facebook Live in lots of other places, we get to be in their homes, and it's like a little school in their communities too. And then, of course, being on a TV network, that's also very unusual to get to be a school praying and pledging and all those things. So I think it's amazing that God's opened this door and this opportunity.
It's a beautiful thing. You know, you've created some great programming for our viewers on RFD-TV to enjoy during this time of social isolation. It's been hard for people. Some of the shows you've worked on over the past year have been fantastic. This Life I Live, Newtown at the Round. Tell us a little bit more about what you have coming down the pike. Are you going to be doing another season maybe of this Life I Live?
That's a good question. This summer, when I finished the last episode of the first season, which might be the only season, I was just so tired. It's a really personal show. It was really me and mostly one other person, Aaron Thomas, who is here in the room with me. And I was just exhausted. I loved it, and I treasure every episode and every story we got to tell, but I was pretty worn out. So I found myself thinking, I'm ready to let that go, and I'll wait and see what God has in store. And since then, that's been since early July, and I'm still just thinking and waiting and watching to see what the opportunity is. And during that time, you know, in the last few months before that, something was on my heart. And Miss Rebecca in the school, a lot of my friends knew this too, that I wanted to be more involved in the schoolhouse than I had been, more involved than just being a parent, picking up and dropping off a child, which is really what I mostly did. And I didn't know what extent that would be. I didn't know how God would maybe use me to be a part of the schoolhouse story, but I just kept praying about it and all through the summer. And then it became clear that we had the opportunity to do something here. We were already doing something that a lot of places can't. And so in some ways, I'm not sure if This Life I Live is going to continue on or not, but I can tell you, this is This Life I Live. I mean, we had school this morning and it was chaotic and wonderful. And yesterday it was not only my wife's birthday, it was the very first day of school, Indiana's first day of first grade. And that's what my life was. And tonight, you know, I had dinner with my sisters and came over here and got ready. And this is This Life I Live. It might look a little different, but this schoolhouse is a very big part of it.
Well, we love your transparency. We love your authenticity. It's just so tangible. I don't think that there's another human like you. So thank you for putting yourself out there. I know it can be exhausting when you put your heart on your sleeve and you show it to the world, but we appreciate it. Now, we just received a big announcement about the National Finals Rodeo being moved to Globe Life Field in Arlington, Texas for 2020. So excited about it. It's a brand spanking new stadium, and you actually helped make that connection with the Texas Rangers. You must know some people. How'd you get that going for us?
Yes. Well, you know, I'm so tickled to be part of that because I got to go to National Finals Rodeo last year, and it was so special to be there with the network and in Las Vegas. And Patrick called me this summer in July, and he told me they might need a new location with all of the things going on with COVID and everything. And he asked me if I could introduce him to my friend, Ray Davis, who owns the Texas Rangers. And I said, yeah, absolutely. So I called Ray and I connected them, and I hoped that something would work out, but I knew it was kind of a long shot, but I've been following along too. And so Ray sent me a note, and his wife reached out to me this morning that the announcement happened yesterday. So I'm really tickled. I hope I get to come down and spend a few days there. So I know they're excited in Texas. And I know that the network's excited, and I'm sure all those Cowboys are excited, and all the sponsors and everybody. So I feel really blessed to just be a part of making that connection so that it came together.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know Patrick was looking at a lot of different locations before he found the Rangers. So we're really, really happy. Thank you for what you've done for Western sports. This is huge to have the NFR going on in 2020. All right, we have so much more to unpack with Rory Feek. We're going to pause for a quick break, but it's your turn to join the conversation. 877-731-6733 is the number to call with your questions for Rory. We're going to open up our phone lines right now. 877-731-6733. More Rural America Live with Grammy Award-winning singer-songwriter Rory Feek right after this. Welcome back to Rural America Live. I'm Christina Loren. Tonight, we get a preview of a brand new show that kicks off Monday on RFD-TV. It's called One Room Schoolhouse, pioneered by country music singer-songwriter Rory Feek. And we want you to join the conversation tonight. If you have questions or maybe a comment for Rory, give us a call, 877-731-6733. Again, that number is 877-731-6733. Once again, Rory Feek joins us live from the One Room Schoolhouse in Columbia, Tennessee, along with teacher Miss Rebecca Carnell. Thanks so much for joining us. Rebecca, what's it like to teach at a One Room Schoolhouse, and how long have you been educating students there?
Well, I think it's a wonderful experience. Funny thing is, I've only ever taught at a one-room schoolhouse. So I have been here for the full 3 years. We're going into our third year here. So it's a wonderful experience in all that we get to do because we are a community, small one-room schoolhouse on a farm.
And you're working with a small group of children as well, which is great because you get that one-on-one chance to really teach them, especially in the areas where they may be lacking. How does this work, though? What does a day at the One Room Schoolhouse look like? And are there other teachers or parents who help out?
Absolutely, yeah. So I am the full-time teacher right now, but we have a part-time teacher who comes in 3 days a week. We have Rory now this year being a huge part of the school, and my families are wonderful. They all want to volunteer and be here. So an average day really is we come in, kind of get settled, do our chores. We'll be doing the live in the mornings with our guests, and then we'll go on our day. A lot of it's spent outside taking care of the animals, playing, bonding, all our hands-on learning experience. And then we come in for a few activities inside, but really we spend most of our day outdoors.
Wow, outdoors. You know, I noticed from some of the video that shoes are also optional, it appears, at the One Room Schoolhouse, which I love because kids getting outside, running around barefoot, you just don't see that enough these days. Rory, talk about how Indiana will benefit growing up in the single schoolhouse environment with various ages and skill levels over attending a traditional public school.
Well, in a situation like this, it's multi-age. So right now we're kindergarten through second grade, maybe third grade, maybe one child in third. So that means it's much more like a family, where most traditional schools, public or private schools, most of the time you have to be with your age group all the time. And you never really spend any time outside of other first graders. But with Indy, she's around all kinds of children, and the idea is that they have things she can mentor the younger ones, the older ones will mentor her, and as she gets older in time, we'll probably have some normal attrition, and maybe when she's a fourth or a fifth grader, if we lose a child who moves away somewhere, maybe we'll pick up a kindergartner or a first grader, and Indy will be an older, kind of a sibling, pupil, student friend who will be able to impact them. But it's a pretty unique thing because we also can integrate the farm. I mean, they do, I always say it's the 4 R's, reading, writing, arithmetic, and all things rural at the farmhouse. So we get, or at the schoolhouse, so we get to not only do, you know, the Indy's still learning how to read and doing really well, as are a lot of the other children, but they get to do a lot of other things they wouldn't normally get to do, and a lot of it is spent outside. So that is kind of one of the best things, that we have a greenhouse here, so the kids can, when they're gardening, they don't only have to garden in the fall and the spring, they get to learn how to grow things all year long. They have their own outdoor gardens and lots of other animals. They have a hobbit house, believe it or not, here, that's also a storm shelter and a canning cellar. They have so many things to do outside and an outdoor learning area. And that's all pretty unique. And also, as we mentioned, you know, we bring in a lot of teachers who wouldn't normally be considered teachers. So Indy and all the other children get to learn a lot of things from a lot of people that people don't normally get to learn from.
I love it. And I like how when you break it down to the level of Mr. Rogers, but a rural rendition of Mr. Rogers, it's really great. It's something you don't see. And I remember those interviews when we would have someone come to a classroom and speak. That's what I really remember from school. And your students get to do that each and every day. What happened today with the baby chicks?
You can tell them about that.
We got 100 baby chicks, and some of my kiddos had never held one in their hand, so it was quite the experience. You know, for me, I'm a tender-hearted for animals, so I'm, you know, my anxiety is like, oh, be nice to the baby chicks, and it was super sweet. We did lose one. I don't know if you know that. We lost one, but it was a fun experience where the kids got to really, some of them experience it for the first time. So it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
We had a little boy who well, quite a few had never been around anything like that before. We all came back inside, and one of the little boys, I had asked him if he washed his hands, and he said, "No, I didn't get to touch one."
Oh.
And so I took him back outside and made sure he got to touch one so he could wash his hands after. And he was pretty nervous about it, but it's exciting to get to do things like that. And it's not just like you have a show and tell project of baby chicks. They will raise those baby chicks, and they'll watch them grow, and one day a number of those will be laying eggs, and they'll gather eggs, and the kids will learn how to cook with those eggs, and they'll bring eggs home to their parents, and it's cool.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's a natural extension of the community around you as well. Columbia, Tennessee. For those who are unfamiliar, tell us a little bit about Columbia.
Well, it's an hour, a little less than an hour south of Nashville. I have lived on this farm. This community actually where we live is called Hardison Mill. So it's kind of a small community outside of Columbia. Columbia is the larger town. And it's known as the Mule Town capital of the world. So if you know our show, Mule Town in the Round, or we talk about Mule Town, it's because that's what Columbia is. And it's a wonderful place. I mean, I don't really know how big it is. It's big enough to have a lot of things to do and a lot of wonderful growth and a wonderful downtown area, but small enough to where you can get to know people, and you still feel like you're in a smaller community. So it's a great place to live. Lots of people are moving out here. And also because we do live out here in the country and in a whole different county than a couple counties away from Nashville, we don't have some of the same requirements that might be in Williamson County or Davidson in particular, where Nashville is. So a lot of people might worry about masks and social distancing. And for a couple of reasons, our county doesn't require it because we don't have very many cases. And also we're a particular category of a small private Christian school. And so we have specific regulations that we follow there. So that's all part of being out here in this sort of smaller community.
But, you know, I'm sure that you're familiar with all the kids' parents because you do have that small community, so you're able to really engage. Not only do you know the kids, especially for you, Miss Rebecca, you get a chance to know the parents as well. And when you're working in a community like this, when you have maybe 18 kids, I believe that's how many you said per classroom in the one-room classroom, talk about some of the opportunities that affords you as a teacher, especially when you have a student who may be falling behind, and if they were to be put into a public school setting, they wouldn't have as much of a chance.
Yeah, so one of the wonderful things about being in this one-room schoolhouse is that we are able, one, to give quite a bit of one-on-one attention, and so they get that individualized learning experience. Another thing is we don't do any standardized testing, any criteria like that. We really allow the child to thrive as they thrive and grow. And so that gives the children the opportunity to not compare, but really just be the best version of themselves they can be. Also, we have so many wonderful opportunities, you know, people coming in and wanting to be a part of this experience. And so we have a lot of outside resources that we can then also turn around and give to the children. So it really is a special environment, community. I do get really close to the parents, my parents and my families. Some of the families that were here year one are still my closest friends today. So it's a really special experience.
I love it. I love it. I think a lot of us are thinking about how we would love to have the same for our children. Okay, we are going to go to the phones as promised. I want to make sure that you have the number 877-731-6733. Brenda from Tennessee, go right ahead.
Hi. I just want to tell Rory how much my husband and I admire him. We watched his and Joey's show from the beginning on RFD. We loved it. We feel like they're part of our family. And when Joey passed, it was like us losing one of our family. And I love what he's doing with his daughter. Oh, she's so precious. I'd love to just hug her and kiss her and squeeze her. And I'm so proud of you, Roy, that you're putting God back in school. That's what this country needs more than anything else, because God is our one true loving God. He has us in his hands. He guides us. He teaches us. He picks us up when we fall. We just love you. My husband and
Well,
we
you,
never
Brenda,
miss your show, Joey. Roy, I'm sorry. Joey was such a big part.
Thank you. That you wouldn't believe how many people call me Joey. It happens a lot, and thank you for following and loving and caring for us and grieving over Joey, and also being excited for Indy. And God is a part of our lives. All of us, at least, all of us. And so how can he not be part of school, especially this year? It feels like there's a lot of, for me, there's some times we can try and push him out or whatever it is, but this is one of those years that I feel like reminds me how much we need him. And school in particular, there's millions and millions of children who are at home, and I know this is very unique. We've been able to build a one-room schoolhouse on our farm and do school the way that we want. But, a lot of people are having to figure out what are they going to do, because it's probably not going to go back and be the same in a lot of situations. So, there might be some people out there decide to band together with some other parents and families and decide to start their own little school and do things the way that they want to do it. And so that's one of the special things about this is it's not just what we're doing. It's just an example of an alternative way that school can happen. And that's one of my favorite things is she comes from a banking background, so she never taught children before. That has nothing to do with whether she's qualified to teach children. Most of the things you were mentioning earlier, first off, Rebecca gets to choose all the parents. Choose all the children, which means choose all the parents too. I'm not really involved in that. I do hope she chooses Indy. That's really the only part that matters to me. And we want to stay near our community. There's a few things we want to do. We want to choose children in our community. We don't want this to be a really, really expensive private school that only the richest children can go to. We want people in our community. We want to make it affordable for them. And we want people who are very like-minded. We're not trying to be everything to everyone. We're trying to be what we think is right for our children. If that's right for you, then great. It's going to work out fine. We want to do school with you and do life. But if it's not, that's okay. There's another option out there for you. So I have two older girls, and my middle daughter, she struggled so much in school, and I didn't look at it right back then. I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to bring her test scores up so that she could appear to be academically more like everybody else and what you're supposed to be. And at the end of the day, I feel like I really failed my older children. And that's a lot of why we have the schoolhouse the way that it is now is I think that stuff doesn't matter, not compared to what kind of children are we raising. And there are so many things that they need to know that I think that schools aren't spending any time on, and they don't have any time to spend on them, and we do, or we can try to anyway. So there's a long answer, but thank you, Brenda.
Love that call, Brenda. Thank you so much. Jim from Illinois, you are next. Go right ahead, sir.
Hi, Rory. This is Jim Berkland from Aurora, Illinois. My wife, Sandra, she is from Tennessee, Rogers Springs. I was born and raised on a farm in Morris, Illinois, and I was in a one-room schoolhouse. And this has brought such memories. Plus, I have been watching, Sandra and I have been watching you since your show started, you and Joey. And please say hi to Mr. Gotts for me. I've wanted to meet that man too, but you are doing so wonderful with what you're doing on your farm. I'm a bluegrasser. I play doghouse bass. Foggy Memory Boys is my group. But your show is just so fantastic. I'm going to tell you one thing, and then I'm going to stop. I have AT&T fiber optics, and I've shared with them that you keep RFD-TV on, or I won't have you as a network operator for me, period. So we watch RF-TV every time we get a chance. The Saturday nights, the Friday nights, the days, and I even like the farm shows because I'm on a farm, one of the directors on a historical society farm here in Illinois, and you're doing so wonderful. Thank you. Keep it up. God bless you and the school teacher, too, and the whole crew, the ones behind the scene, doing so much work. Say hi to them. I thank you so much. My wife and I both say that.
We will. Thank you, Jim, and thank you, Sandra.
That was so sweet. We love hearing from our viewers. That leaves a line open for you, 877-731-6733. John from North Carolina, you're next. Go right ahead, sir.
Hello, Rory. It's so great to watch you all the time as I do on TV, RFD-TV. And I just wanted to call in. I'm a guitarist. I'm almost 79 years old, and I taught myself to play guitar when I was 10. And I never did any songwriting, but I followed you along ever since you started, you and Joey. And I know you've had a difficult life, but you've handled it so well, man. And I'm just so glad you're helping to bring God back into schools. You're just doing a fantastic job. My wife thinks a lot of you too, but my wife has Alzheimer's, and so it's a little tough. You know, I'm not getting to play as much music as I was because of this pandemic. But man, we love you. I just want you to know that. And I'm originally from Virginia. I was brought up on a farm, and bringing all this farm stuff back is just fantastic, man. I love it. Y'all keep it up now.
Well, thank you, John. Thank you for calling in and sharing with us, and keep up playing your guitar.
We have callers waiting on the line to talk with you tonight, Rory, but we're going to pause for a quick break. I want to make sure I give out that number so everyone, I know you probably have some sort of a question or a comment for Rory Feek. The number is 877-731-6733. We're going to be right back with more Rural America Live after this. Welcome back to Rural America Live. A little behind the scenes shot there of the One Room Schoolhouse. Tonight we are joined by Rory Feek. We are talking about his new show on RFD-TV. It's going to air weekdays at 1 p.m. Central Time. And we're taking your calls tonight. 877-731-6733 is the number to call. Back to the phones now. We're going to talk with Jane from New York. Jane, thanks for joining us.
Oh, you're welcome, and it's a pleasure to talk to you, Rory. First of all, God bless you and the baby. My heart went out to you when Joey passed. I felt like I lost a sister when she went. I'm so sorry. However, I used to be a private nanny, and I was a private nanny in Vermont for a very well-to-do family. And they had their children. There's 2 children, Shanna and Josh, who I just love so much. They're like my own babies. I had them from the day they were born. And as they grew up, we had them in a private school. And one of the schools ended up to be a farm in a place called Shelburne Farms in Vermont. You look it up on the internet and you'll find it. One of the greatest places there is to raise children on a farm. They got so much out of it, and they learned so much, and I couldn't ask for a better life for those kids. And I think you're doing a fantastic job. And when I heard that you were going to have this schoolhouse, I only wish my help would have allowed me to do it. I would have said to you, Rory, I'm here. I want to come to work for you and help take care of these babies. I think it's fantastic. I love you guys. And I love what you're doing. Keep up the fantastic work. And to put a little note in it, My Shanna has ended up to be a graduate, a pharmaceutical doctor as of June. So,
Wow.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you, Jane. Thank you for sharing with us. And I will look up Sheldon Farms. That sounds like a wonderful place. Thank you so much.
All right. Frank from Missouri, you are next. Thanks for joining the conversation.
pharmaceutical doctor as of June.
Frank, can you hear me? I think you have your television set.
Yeah, I hear you.
Go right ahead. You're on with Rory.
I will look up Sheldon Farms.
Yeah, I really appreciate Rory and what he's done and what he's still doing with a One Room Schoolhouse. I lost my wife about 2 years ago, and I know what it is. I know what he's going through with. I'm Frank Hanners from Marble Hill, Missouri, and I sure appreciate what he's doing. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Frank, for calling in, and thanks for sharing, and sorry to hear about the loss of your wife.
We appreciate calls like that. I think that everybody can just connect with you on some level, Rory. And Rebecca, you as well. You have been there through a good part of Indy's life now. You've been there firsthand. You've had a chance to watch her grow up in this beautiful setting. And so our viewers, they feel connected to both of you tonight. We're going to go back to the phones. Bruce, you are next. Go right ahead.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate you taking my call, Rory. I wanted to reach out to you back here a few years ago. You were actually over in Noonan coming out with your wife, going home, and I was coming in with my wife, who was, her name was Tina. She was 46 years old, but she passed away about the same time your wife did, and I've been wanting to share something with you for a long time, but when I got home, I really couldn't understand the loss and really prayed about it. And there's a scripture in the Bible that says there's no greater gift than a person to lay down their life for another. And God really showed me that Tina had simply laid down her life so I could experience Jesus through her. And I really believe that's what your wife did, and you were able to experience that. And God encouraged me afterwards. I asked how to go on with my life, and he had told me, I want you to go lay down your life now so someone else can experience me. And that was a very difficult thing to do because our love stories are a lot alike. And I just think it's wonderful what you're doing, because you are laying your life down so others can see Christ through you, and that is your surrender. So I commend you and I encourage you. I'm right here in Rome, Georgia. I actually almost came and visited you at the Cowboy Church, and I hope one day I get to meet you, and God bless you, and keep pressing forward.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I'm sorry to hear about your wife. It just, still for me, you know, Joey was 40 and your wife was 46, and that's tragically young compared to a lot of people get to live so much longer. And I don't know how you're doing with your surrender and the laying down of your life, but I think that's a wonderful way of looking at it. I know with me, I know that's true, and it's what I'm trying to do. I think I still have a long way to go, but I am trying to do that, and I think that's what, you know, my wife and what your wife would probably want us to do. Somehow somebody would see something in something we do that maybe would be impactful and lead them to not be so alone, and not to experience, to just experience some of the fullness that we have, and honestly, even the loss that we've experienced. You know, that's the only way I know to get through it, is with his help. And that doesn't mean it isn't hard. It's just at least there's some comfort and some peace. And, you know, I say this quite often, that I somehow, you know, it's only because of God, I still somehow wake up in the morning and I pinch myself because I'm so lucky. Like today, I wake up and pinch myself. I'm surrounded by all these people in this little schoolhouse, and Rebecca doesn't just teach the children, she helps raise Indy. There's like a community of women all around that help me with Indy, that do mama things and girl things that I'm not good at. And when I'm not around Indy, even though she's got lots of other kids, she's able to go, no, we're not going to do that. And I need that. I need my sisters and lots of other people around. And I pinch myself because I'm so lucky in spite of the loss. And that sounds like just in talking to you, you feel the same way.
So beautiful. You know, that is the third person tonight that has brought up your relationship with Christ and how they identify you with Christ. If we're called to walk as Jesus did, and people are seeing that in your walk, I mean, how does that feel when you're getting this reinforcement tonight?
Well, it is wonderful. It's really wonderful. But just to back up a little bit, my favorite part of this interview, just so you know, Christina, is when right before we go on the air, I only hear Christina in my ear, and I don't know you super well. But Christina prayed right before we went on here, and that does not happen. That just doesn't happen. And so I think that's so amazing, what can happen, like just those little things that we do that maybe nobody else knows about, that someone sees, are big. And so I know you're talking about me right now and that people are saying that, but I want to talk about you because that touched me, that you would take a moment before we're doing 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, and you're praying for us in this moment, and that is really special, Christina.
Every moment I get to reach an audience with a man of God like yourself, all we can pray for is that he speaks through both of us. Angela from Arizona, you are next. Thanks for joining the conversation. Go right ahead.
Hello?
Hi, Angela. Thanks for joining us.
My name is Angela from Arizona.
You're on with Rory.
I was raised on a farm in Nebraska and relayed on other levels, having lost a sister at a young age with 3 children. My thought or question, there is a scripture about training up a child in the way he should go and the way they should go.
And is that a question? I'm sorry, I might have missed
Do
the
you
question.
have anything that you envision for Indy's life?
Sorry.
And how you will guide her along the way?
I'm sorry, I lost just a little piece of that.
She said,
Christina, if you could repeat it for me.
Sure. She's wondering how we can take that Proverbs 22:6, train up a child the way he should go, and how you can apply that to Indy's life. She's wondering what you'd like to see for Indy's life.
Well, for me, you know, Indiana is 6 years old and she has no idea she has Down syndrome. And she would never know, and it wouldn't, like, she doesn't know. Like, there are people that like feel bad for her, or that she's especially cute, or that, you know, that, oh, she's just so sweet and kind. No, she's not. She's just a regular girl. She's just the same as every other little girl. Her eyes may be a little puffier. She might have a bigger space in between her big toe and her little toe and only one crease on her hand. But she's just a regular little girl dreaming. She's got a baby she's carrying around all the time and wants to be a mama. She's just talking about being a mama like her mama was a mama. And I don't even know if it's it doesn't matter to me. It's like what I can do for her is let her know that she is the same. She is just a magical child of God like everyone else. It just, you know, instead of her having the blonde hair Heidi has or the green eyes that Hopi has, she has her own uniqueness. And I think the best thing that I can do is to just remind her and raise her in a way that she doesn't get her self-worth from everyone else, from a culture telling her, because she's going to wake up one day and somehow she's going to realize she's different. But if they didn't tell her that, she would never know. She'd have no idea. And I want to make sure that when she does learn that she realizes she's different, but like the good kind of different. Like you were made very, very uniquely to do something special. And she also doesn't know, she doesn't know why people come up and talk to her and want to take pictures of her and love her so much. They love that baby. She has no idea why. She doesn't know we don't have a TV. She doesn't know she's on TV. We're not making a television show when I'm making my television show. We're capturing our lives. So that's an important part of it for me too, is that she's just living and she's just being herself. And I can't wait to see what God's going to do with her. So I'm just trying to train her up the best way that I know. And that is to put her in a place, because a lot of times in situations like Indy's, you know, she would be in a special education class with a bunch of other children that the culture or the education system has decided should all be taught together. I don't think that. I think she should be taught with other people. She is a member of a family. This is a family. This is what she looks like. There's another little boy with Down syndrome in here. He's a little different than Indy. Indy talks a lot more and a lot faster, but he processes really fast. God makes all of us different, and I just want to train her up to be the best Indiana that she can be.
She's got a smile that will melt anybody's heart. She is a happy little girl, and she sure loves her daddy. Join us for the One Room Schoolhouse on RFD-TV.